Hello everyone from Mazda's Laguna Seca Raceway. This is James from the Fit RV, and I'm here with part 5 of my refrigerator replacement project, which I call, well, we're camping, so I'd better be done. And indeed I am done. So in this video I'm just going to kind of walk you through the finished product and give you some tips and tell you what I did there. What you would have missed if I'd had the shop cam going is you would have seen me make about 1,000 trips back and forth to the RV with a piece of wood. Like, oh, still too long, cut a little bit off. Oh, it's still too long, cut a little bit off. Somehow it got too small. So there's a lot of swearing involved. You missed all that. Thank me for sparing you. The other thing you missed a lot of was me working with laminates. There are a lot of other videos on the internet about working with laminates, so I won't go into too much detail there, except to say I tried a spray contact adhesive, like a 3M Super 90, and I tried the traditional roll-on contact adhesive, and they both worked, but the spray contact adhesive was 50 billion times easier and faster. But when you have like adjacent surfaces, like a 90-degree corner, the regular roll-on contact adhesive was much neater. So take that for what it's worth. The other thing that was interesting overall about the project is about halfway through, I stopped working in standard units and started working in metric units. And the reason for that was, well, in a vehicle that flexes and moves, if you get something within a millimeter, it's probably close enough. And the math is a lot easier. And actually, if you look on the plans, if you download the plans that Winnebago puts online, they work in millimeters too. So it's just a whole lot easier. And if I do any more RV projects, I'm just starting off metric from the get-go. So with all that said, let me go back here and show you what I did. Okay, so back here, I really didn't change the placement or arrangement of things very much. I just kind of resized them, but kept everything more or less in the same place that it was. So like up here in the old cabinets, there was a cabinet here, and we've got a cabinet here as well. This one's a little bit different. The old cabinet had a face frame on it, which meant that you'd open the door and there'd be like a smaller hole that you'd have to pass through to get to the cabinet. I went with a frameless design for these cabinets, so the whole width of the cabinet is sort of available to you right from the front. This cabinet has a carbon fiber door, and yes, that is real carbon fiber laminated on the front and back. As far as a latch, the old ones had a push button latch, and that to us just kind of seemed like an extra step of something you got to do before you can then open the cabinet door. And up here we didn't really figure we'd snag ourselves on this handle, so there's just a standard door pull there. But the old cabinet latch did securely latch the cabinet, and in this cabinet I've taken care of that with this magnet up here. So there's that cabinet. Moving down to this one, previously in a stock Travato, there's like a wardrobe cabinet here. And in our old cabinets, I had added some drawers. And I was almost able to use those drawers in this new cabinet. And I mean almost by, like, ironically, the 1 millimeter. But I wasn't, so I had to make new ones. So what I did to make these is I bought pre-finished drawer sides, and if I ever have to make drawers in a hurry, you can bet that's how I'm going to do it going forward. I had to cut this scallop in the front for a hand pull, but basically that's all I had to do was that and mount them up. So, and they were like $7 a drawer or something. Pre-finished drawer sides. They're Baltic birch. They're finished with like a bulletproof shellac kind of thing. It's awesome. So I've got 3 of those here. We had 3 of them in the old cabinet, and there we go. Okay, and down here, this hasn't changed much since the last video. I guess the only big changes are the battery now has a cover over it. This is not something I envisioned we would need to get to very frequently, so I didn't put an actual door on it. It's just a cover. It does come off, but it's not visual. I'm not going to pull it off. It's not visually cued to make you want to pull it off. So, but the battery is in there. And down below, we still have this little carbon fiber door. And the only difference, I guess, now is the Truma is hooked up and functional again. Now, one thing with the battery I had to do, and that's kind of round into the dinette area. So let me show you that next. Okay, so my battery had a couple of remote buttons. I had previously installed them in that cabinet there, but there wasn't really room to do that. So what I did is, obviously, the place to put buttons and controls is on this wall of control panels, which I may redo at some point and put some sort of gray or some other sort of covering there. Anyway, this is the obvious place for them to go, but there's really no room to add in a couple extra buttons. So what I did is I put them up under here, and we'll have to show you that. Basically, there's a light on the buttons. It's really, really bright, so I didn't want it out in the open at night because, I mean, it's insanely bright. So they're hidden away up under here, and that's where the controls are for the battery. Okay, now the microwave, again, it's in more or less the same place that it was, but I had to move it up a bit and to the left a bit because this fridge is bigger. So since I moved the microwave, I was not able to use the big metal brackets that Winnebago had installed here in order to mount the microwave to. So between cutting those out and hacking them up and attaching them to things and making my own brackets, and I got it mounted. It's very secure, but I did not use the original brackets to do it. The other thing, I had to replace this trim kit on the microwave because ours over the years had gotten kind of banged up as many times as I'd pulled the microwave in and out. So I had to get a new trim kit. The new trim kit, naturally, was slightly different from the old trim kit and didn't fit, which meant I had to drill holes into the microwave. I didn't drill in anything important, but I just drilled, and Stephanie is now learning for the first time that I drilled holes in the microwave from behind the camera. It's okay, really. And finally, we have the fridge, the Nova Kool RFU 7300. The thing I learned about getting a new, bigger fridge in your RV is that Steph might take it as a personal challenge to try to fill the larger fridge, which, of course, she succeeded. This is more food than we could ever use on this trip, but we got it. I don't have any real hard data about the performance of this fridge yet. I can say anecdotally that our salads have not been frozen and all of our beverages have been appropriately chilled. So we got that going for us. This is a compressor fridge, and so it does make a small amount of noise, for those of you who would point out that an absorption fridge doesn't. Well, it does. And the noise it makes sounds, oddly enough, like a refrigerator. So if you've lived with a refrigerator before, you'll be able to live with this and the amount of noise it produces because it's already something you're used to. Let's see. One other point, there are 2 compressors, and I can tell by the sound, just because it's me, if it's 1 compressor or 2 running, but I can't tell which is which yet. But give me enough time with it, and I think I will be able to figure that out. Now, mounting this fridge, I decided to recess the fridge into the face of the cabinet instead of having it sit atop the face of the cabinet like that. That gave us an extra 3/4 of an inch of aisle space here, which we can always use. But it did make it a little bit wider because I had to go, past the frame of the fridge. But it's mounted in there. Let's see. We've also got a freezer. Let's come down here and I'll show you that. And here's the freezer. We got ice. It hasn't melted. Awesome. And it's actually like more than, it looks like about 2 cubic feet in there or more. Plenty of room in the freezer. Now, the compressors, they're mounted down under here and they're running right now. When they're running, I can feel a decent amount of air. This fridge vents from the back to the front across the bottom. I can feel a decent amount of air coming across them. So I'm pretty confident I've handled the venting appropriately. The fridge doesn't seem to be struggling to maintain temperature, so I think we're okay there, but I'm going to keep an eye on that for a while. And as far as power, they're just wired into the same 12-volt circuit that was powering the heater element on the old absorption fridge. So the fuses were the appropriate size and the wires were sized appropriately. That's all good. Okay, and that's going to pretty much wrap it up for this refrigerator replacement project. Hope you liked it. I wouldn't really call this a project for beginners. In fact, I don't even know if I'd call it a project for me a second time because it honestly was kind of tough. I think in the future we're just going to restrict any coach shopping we do to things that have a 12-volt fridge to start with, and we'll just avoid having to do that again. Now, I am going to do some proper testing on this in the future, so if you want to know like how many amps does it use when 1 compressor, 2 compressor are running, how long does it take to cool, I will be figuring all that stuff out and coming out with that in the weeks to come, but not this week. This week I'm going to concentrate on enjoying the heck out of the Sea Otter Classic, where we're here with the Winnebago group. So we'll see you next time. Bye.